Brighton's been the first choice for a day out for centuries. It's got beaches, shops, fun fairs, of course it's got the pier. It's pretty much got something for everybody. But if you've had enough of the waves and you've had enough of the fun fairs, you can catch one of these out to the country. The Victorians were perhaps the forerunners of the countryfile viewer. They loved to get out of town into the country. Route 77 leaves the pier every half hour for the 7-mile trip to the Downs. But first it runs along the seafront to Saltdean. On a sunny day, life takes on a new dimension from the top deck of an open-top bus. Even naked bathing's okay. They call this the bus to freedom. And after all, this is Brighton. Now that just behind me is Brighton's famous Palace Pier. And just over that way is the rather decrepit-looking West Pier that recently burnt down. Now it's set to be refurbished. By the looks of things, they could have a pretty big job on their hands. Another open-top bus? Bus rides have never been so much fun. Hello.
This is the first time I've ever been on the 77 route, but it's pretty good at the moment, yeah.
I'm taking my niece's children to Devil's Dyke, which normally I go by car, but the children love it on an open-top bus, so we thought we'd do that today.
The shops, the Georgian and Victorian villas, they're all part of Brighton, but I wanted to get out of the city, and it doesn't take long.
We found that through having such an interesting type of bus, an open-top bus, 45% of our passengers actually do have access to a car. So we're even helping to reduce congestion and pollution by getting people out of their cars onto the bus, because we're providing the sort of bus that even car drivers will happily use to go for a trip to the countryside. They will even put themselves out to get on this bus. So
it's not only a great day out, but it's environmentally friendly as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The change from town to country is almost instant. Quite suddenly, Brighton is left far behind, and we're on the top of the South Downs. Thank you. And this is Devil's Dyke, with plenty to explore. From sea level, the bus has climbed up nearly 700 feet. On a clear day, so they say, you can see the Isle of Wight and Windsor Castle. And even if you can't, the views are certainly worth the price of a bus fare. Devil's Dyke is strictly the name of the hill fort. The whole area has been owned by the National Trust since 1995, and I'm on my way to meet one of the wardens. So tell me about what Devil's Dyke would have been like in its heyday.
Well, in Victorian and in Edwardian times, it was basically a theme park, so there were up to 30,000 people in a bank holiday weekend. So
well, up all busy. Around here?
All around the top.
And what sort of infrastructure would they have had?
Well, loads of public transport, trains, wagonettes.
The 19th century landowners provided more than just fresh air and a pub to attract visitors. In those days, Dyke Park had its own railway station, and the crowds could come by horse-drawn bus to the top of the hill. There was an amusement park with an aerial railway across the Devil's Punch Bowl, and all kinds of other attractions, but virtually nothing remains today.
Well, Ben, believe it or not, this is actually the platform and engine house of a steep-grade, narrow-gauge railway that went straight down the hill there, down those steep slopes, to the village of Poynings below.
And what sort of period was that in?
We're talking about 1897, a great Victorian bit of engineering. Alas, by 1907, it had closed down.
And why was that?
Well, unfortunately, people used it to bypass the attractions at the top of the hill because there were cheaper tea rooms down in the beautiful village of Poynings. So the landlord of the hotel shot himself in the foot a bit there and went out of business.
Today, Devil's Dyke is a wonderful natural feature. But how was it formed?
Well, back at the end of the Ice Age, all this chalkland, which is normally permeable, was actually frozen solid. Then in the summers, which were quite short, it would start to melt, and then you'd get the rivers and the erosion. So then it would get worn away, and it could even happen literally in a matter of days, and a great big slump causing this huge valley you see in front of you.
And it's difficult to get perspective. How deep and how long is it?
It's the longest valley of its type in England. It's almost a kilometre long and about 100 metres deep.
So what's special about the Dyke's flora and fauna?
Well, it's all this chalk grassland you see in front of you. Being on chalk, it's actually the richest habitat in the country. Some people think of it as the rainforest of Britain, because you can literally get, in just 1 square metre of the grassland there, up to 40 species of plants, and of course all the food chain of rare butterflies that supports.
So there's obviously a fine balance between protecting the environment and allowing people to visit. So what sort of effect does the number 77 bus bringing people from Brighton straight up here have on the land?
It's making a big difference.
A positive one or a negative one?
Oh, a positive one, definitely. With so many people coming up, because it's still very popular, it's the big site for people in Brighton and the area. Obviously that's a lot of cars, so the more people we can get out of their cars and onto the bus, the better.
Now, the great thing is that if you hand in your bus ticket at the Devil's Dyke pub just behind me and order a meal, you get a free drink, which gives me a chance to savour the views one last time.